And we have some breaking news just coming in. The Bharatiya Janata Party is now targeting the Congress after naming of the lunar spots. The BJP says the Prime Minister has put India first. UPA put family first. UPA would call spots Indira and Rajiv points is what the BJP has said in an attack, a renewed attack against the Congress party as far as politics over Chandrayaan-3 and the landing of the Vikram lander and the rolling out of the rover is concerned. Remember, Prime Minister has named the point where Vikram landed the Shiv Shakti point. The BJP says that had this been the Congress, they would have called it Indira or Rajiv points. That's the attack from the Bharatiya Janata Party. BJP Shehzad Poonawalla has in fact put out that tweet. Shehzad, you've spoken about the fact that the Prime Minister chose to call Chandrayaan-2 crash landing site as Tiranga and the Chandrayaan-3's landing or Vikram's landing site as the Shiv Shakti point. You say that the Congress would have done so otherwise, they would have named it after the Gandhis?
Isn't it obvious, Neha, that the first time the moon orbiter landed via the Chandrayaan-1, the Congress party, which is so endowed to one family and its bhakti, named that point after Jawaharlal Nehru, and they called it Jawahar Point. And now contrast this with the Prime Minister when Chandrayaan-2 and Chandrayaan-3 have left their footmarks on the moon, and Chandrayaan-3 especially with the Vikram lander landing on the south side of the moon for the first time in the history of humankind. We have renamed it, or we have named those points as Tiranga Point and Shiv Shakti points. Both those points are a tribute to the national resolve and the national pride of this country. Even the lander, by the way, Sneha, which touched down upon the south side of the moon, is called Vikram lander. It's not called Atal lander. It's not called Modi lander. This is the difference. Prime Minister Modi's every breath is for this country, and the first family of the UPA took every decision for the first family. Therefore, they name things only after one family. Even on the moon, the naming happens after one family. I mean, are you saying that there were no Isro greats that they could have named the point after? Are you telling me there was nobody else they could have named it after? I mean, I'm just glad that it wasn't UPA during Chandrayaan-2 and Chandrayaan-3. Who knows? They would have named it Indira Point, Rajiv Point, Priyanka Point, Rahul Point, Robert Point. This is the mindset of the UPA, and this is the approach of Modi, that Modi ji renames or names it after Tiranga, names it after Shiv Shakti.
Azad, I'm going to thank you for the moment for joining us. We'll, of course, also want to get a word from the Congress party on what you've really said, and you rightly have, in fact, pointed out about the naming of the point where Chandrayaan-1 landed as the Jawahar point. And would the Congress have done anything more different is the question that the BJP is asking. The Congress would not have, is what the BJP says. They would have named it after the Gandhis, after Rajiv Gandhi, or perhaps Indira Gandhi, is what BJP's Shehzad Poonawalla has said. We're getting you all the details, and that's the big story today, the Shiv Shakti point, and that's the name where Vikram lander made a soft landing on the south pole of the dark side of the moon, rolling out the Pragyan rover. And that's a big development with Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying indeed that this is going to be the Shiv Shakti point. Leader of the Congress party, Rashid Alvi, is also now joining us. Rashid Alvi, the BJP says that the Congress would have not done anything different. You named the point where Chandrayaan-1 landed as the Jawahar point. Look at what Prime Minister has done. He's called it the Shiv Shakti point. This speaks volumes of the fact that the Congress does worship of the Gandhi Parivar, is what the BJP has said.
You know, it is laughable. How can, who has given this right to Narendra Modi ji to make any namikara at the surface of a moon? It is laughable. The entire world will laugh. We have landed. It is very good. We are proud of it. No doubt in it. But it is. I don't think that we are not the owner of moon. We are not the owner of that point. Because Bharatiya Janata Party is in habit to do all this. Since they have come in power, they have been changing names of...
Chronicle, Mr. Alvi, I'm going to ask you, because when the Congress was in power, they named the point where Chandrayaan-1 landed as the Jawahar point. That's the contention. They are saying that the Prime Minister has not named it after, say, like an Atal Bihari Vajpayee, or himself for that matter. Is what the BJP is saying. When you were in power, you also named the point as Jawahar point.
You know, Jawaharlal Nehru, you can't compare Jawaharlal Nehru. He was whatever Isro is, it is only because of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. In 1962, it was only Vikram Sarabhai and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru who has established this Isro. So, basically, you can say that Pandit Nehru was the founder of all this. That is absolutely a different thing. But now what Modi ji is doing, he is trying to politicize it.
I want to ask you, by naming it Shiv Shakti Point, how is the Prime Minister trying to politicize it is my question. And also, a hypothetical question, but I'll come to my hypothetical question later. First of all, please tell me, how is the Prime Minister trying to politicize this? Okay, Rashid Alvi is not with us. He seems to have disconnected that line, but the fact is that the Prime Minister has named this as the Shiv Shakti Point. The BJP says, had the Congress been in power, they would have named it after after Rajiv Gandhi, or perhaps Indira Gandhi, is what BJP's Shehzad Poonawalla has said. The Congress says, who has given the right to the Prime Minister to name this as the Shiv Shakti Point, is what the Congress is saying in its defense.